And as part of our special coverage of Colombia's presidential elections, we now receive Ivonne Tellez, who is an international law expert and also an author. Welcome, Ivonne.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
So, Ivonne, in this interview, we have several topics, but let's start. 2 days ago, the Semana magazine, a weekly Colombian magazine, had an interesting headline on its cover saying the runoff elections of this Sunday were between an engineer, referring to Rodolfo Hernandez, and a former guerrilla combatant, while pointing to Petro, even though he's not a former combatant, but an economist. What is this telling us about the right-wing campaign?
What has happened in Colombia during the last 50 or 60 years and has been, in a way, has gained strength is the anti-leftist discourse. What does this mean? That the left, regarding to the ideology, the political ideology, and also the economic proposals, the different economic proposals, have been directly related to the guerrillas and to war. So this helps a lot because in Colombians, people, imaginary, conscious, what remains is the anti-war, of course, the anti-war discourse. So what helps the right wing with this discourse is just to delegitimize the proposals and the possible alternative that the left wing represents, because what it does is turn the imaginary conscious of people into thinking, or lead them to thinking that the left wing proposal definitely relates to war or relates to guerrillas. So this is just a dislegitimation campaign against the left wing.
Yes, in any case, both candidates have black women in their formula campaign. Let's say Francia Marquez for the Historical Pact Coalition and Marilene Castillo for the League of Anti-Corruption Rulers, which eventually will lead to a first in Colombia's history no matter who wins. Taking into account that out of the 39 millions of Colombians that are heading to the polls, over 50% are women, is this a display of inclusion or a strategical campaign move?
I think that Francia Marquez advancement in this electoral campaign, is probably a more legitimate one than the one regarding Rodolfo. What does that mean? What am I trying to say? Is that probably there is a lot of electoral campaign strategies behind Marlene Castillo, in the sense that when Francia was named as the second formula for Gustavo Petro's presidential campaign, then a few moments later we got the pronunciation about Marlene Castillo. But disregarding this fact, I think that definitely to have both women, both Afro women, in this post, definitely, yes, it represents a difference between what we have had before. But because we're talking about women, we're talking about Black women. The difference, the substantial difference between those two women is the fact that their backgrounds are completely different. So probably that represents what Francia Marquez represents is not what Marlene represents regarding their background. So I think this could be the difference, and how people and how women voting for each formula feel represented by them. Because when we talk about Francia Marquez, we're not talking about just Black people or Afro people or just women. We're talking about poverty, we're talking about exclusion, we're talking about war, we're talking about victims. So we're talking about different sectors of society being represented in this particular person. That this is not happening regarding Marlene Castillo.
Yeah, we coincide in that. So there are reports of one electoral witness of the historical pact coalition and a soldier killed during voting day, as well as several pre-marked ballots as blank votes. Also, as we know, in a simulation test, the voting machines tested gave the victory to Rodolfo Hernandez by a slight margin. This smells fishy to me. Does it to you?
It does. It does. I think what has been asked for the population to take, for example, a picture of their vote and to make sure that these electoral papers are not marked or have different signs could be just a citizen move. It smells fishy, yes, and I do not want to make a strong comment against the Colombia's electoral system, who's historically has shown a fairly good move or a fairly good functioning, but there are strong fears that maybe we can be we can be facing some fraud. So I think that the only possible move for this is for citizens to be their vigilance of their own moves and of their own vote. Let's hope that this has a coincidence. I mean, the results have a coincidence with people's move, and that we are not facing anymore, because as far as I know, as for this hour, there have been like 300 roughly 300 denounces of possible fraud in different parts, and not only within Colombia's territory, but also outside. And regarding also, for example, a presence of institutional representations, I mean the government, and regarding also some kind of propaganda, and that has to do, for example, outside of Colombia's borders. So yes, we can. I don't think we can be completely still with this, and we cannot take this awareness or this worry for granted. But let's hope that the results are so astonishingly strong as we have seen before in Colombia's election intention, that the results respond to this.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too. So thank you, Ivonne, for your time and opinions for the audience and us hearing from the South.
Thank you very much.